All right. Welcome everyone to Healthy Table Festive Feast. We are on our last session. I think we all know how Zoom works now, but tonight we have quite a few treats in for us. We're going to talk a little bit about some cranberry sauce. We've got a lot of turkey talk ahead of us. And you guys either get to see me pass or fail, and you get to vote on it. I have never carved a turkey a day in my life. I figure I've always cooked them. Somebody else can do something with them. But I watched the Culinary Institute of Arts. I think it's hilarious. Their acronym is CIA. So we will do that. Hold on, we got one more coming in. And so without any further ado, I'm going to turn this over and let Claire do our icebreaker.
All right. Good evening, y'all. Okay, so tonight I just have two questions for you. And this first one you can answer in the chat box. Thanksgiving is coming up. Do you prefer ham or turkey on your table? Or both? My family would have a conniption if we only put one on the table. I don't like turkey personally. I like ham, but others love turkey. I see a lot of turkey in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of turkey. Paula, both. There are a few boths. I'm a both.
I can eat turkey, but half the time it's just so darn dry. And so I've just kind of been turned off of it.
They didn't prepare it right. Okay. Jill says turkey, ham. Okay, turkey. Ham is served at Easter. But ham is also a New Year's deal.
I don't think I've
peas and greens. Yeah. Okay, Angela agrees with Catherine. So I'd have to go back and read Catherine's.
All right. So since I know all of you prefer turkey now, I'm going to ask a different question. So, well, it's Thanksgiving Day. You get up, put your turkey or ham in my situation in the oven. You start getting ready, getting everything set for the big meal. Several hours later, you realize you never turned your oven on. What do you do to save your Thanksgiving meal?
I say a lot of Snickers.
That's a hard one. You eat out.
Go to Cracker Barrel. Cut the turkey in small parts. I like that. That's good thinking. Pray. Jill said pray.
My family probably order a pizza.
Have lots of yummy side dishes. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I guess you don't have to have the meat. You can have all the other good stuff.
We asked this question in a different forum, and Claire and I were both there, and the person answered, open a large bottle of wine. That was their answer. So,
I think that's the best too.
I thought that was kind of interesting. As long as there are some potatoes, I'm good. Okay, I can get on board with that.
Oh yeah.
Catherine says just eat later. You can do that, and somebody else put in eat more pie. I'm with that. I can do pie. So that's kind of good. Really cute answers there. All right. So Melanie, you ready?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. So obviously our title tonight is Turkey Talk with Thanksgiving coming up. And so what I'm going to talk about, our cooking term for the night is basting, which a lot of us relate to turkeys. The definition of baking is to moisten meat or other food while cooking. You can use melted butter, other fats, meat drippings, or liquids such as stock, and you can spoon it or brush it over your food as it cooks to moisten it. You can also use a bulb baster, which can be used to drizzle the liquid over the food. And basting can add flavor and color and can prevent your meat from drying out. You will also notice in the two recipes that Marie and I use, and we do cook our turkeys differently. Neither one of us baste our turkey. And in doing our research, we found that if you crisp the skin in the first 30 minutes to an hour of the turkey, it should help keep those juices inside, and you shouldn't have to baste. You'll see why mine doesn't need to be basted when I get to that part. But basting doesn't have to be done. It's kind of based on the recipe that you're using and whether or not you're going to have a lot of moisture in your turkey based on your recipe. If you think it's going to dry out, then you would definitely want to use basting. Okay. Any questions about basting? How many of you do baste every year? You always have out the baster. Anybody? Marie said she's too lazy to baste. I do not use basting. Do you baste? No. Paula does not either. So maybe that's an older way of cooking. I don't know, but that's interesting. And my parents never, I grew up, I cook mine the way my parents cooked it. Marie, I think, cooks it the way that her family cooked it. Yes, Catherine's mom does baste. Okay. All right. So now I have a couple of poll questions based on tonight's lessons. Oh, Claire said that they inject. We don't baste. Okay, that's interesting. And that's something we did not talk about. Do you do that too?
Injection, no, but I have done it with grilling.
Right. Yeah, we've done it with grilling before with the 4-H grillers. All right, so here's our poll question. If you will go to the chat box, the first question is, do you prefer cooked or canned cranberry sauce?
Has to be fresh. Has to be those fresh cranberries.
Oh, everybody's cooked so far.
Ew, neither. Wait.
Neither. Yeah. There's the canned. Okay. So we have a little of both. It looks like mostly cooked. I used to love canned cranberry, and I still do. That's what I grew up on. But then when I became an adult, I made it one time fresh, and I'm like, oh, there's no going back. And so I love it. And I put a little bit of orange juice and stuff in there, and I love to see those cranberries pop on the stove. So that is my thing. And I love cranberry sauce. It is not everybody's thing. Yeah. Catherine says, I'm not a big cranberry fan, but my family wants both the gelled and the berries. Yeah. And I've had that request before a long time ago. Okay.
So I think Jill's going to make some for us, but the beauty of it is you can put it on your turkey sandwich or blend it with a little bit of mayonnaise, and it just elevates the experience. It's really good.
Yeah. On my turkey sandwich the next day, I put a little bit of stuffing, a little bit of turkey, and anything else that I find in there that just seems like it might fit. All right, next question. And this is a pretty important one when we're cooking. There's a few basic measurements we just need to know so you don't have to look them up. How many teaspoons are in a tablespoon? Looks like everybody knows the answer. Yes, it is 3. And I'm not going to go into a bunch more, but I will tell you this, one site that I think you should go check out if you have any questions about turkeys is the butterball.com. They have so much stuff. Everything we talk about tonight is actually, there's a page for that. There's even a page so you don't have to figure out the math behind how big of a turkey you need, that you just plug in how many people you're going to have. Are they kids? Are they adults? Are they big eaters? Are they light eaters? And then once you plug all that in, it tells you what size turkey you need. So even though we're going to talk about the basics of it and what you could do if you don't have the internet, they have all that set up for you. So it's a really, it's a very good website, and go to Thanksgiving and your turkey. And then of course they have other things too. But, and if you're not sure how to thaw your turkey, everything we go over tonight there's a video on there. So the next question is, how many of you have cooked your Thanksgiving turkey with the packet of guts inside the turkey? Marie did. Paula said she did it once. Angela did it. Anybody else? I can honestly say I have not. That doesn't mean it won't happen. Sometimes I always question myself. Did I get it all out?
Oh no. We had a fire.
And I'll look.
Melanie and I had that experience together. Claire said she's never cooked a turkey. Okay, I've done it once, in a chicken once. Okay.
Yeah, same thing.
Lori, you've never cooked a turkey. You've got to cook a turkey. Do you like turkey? Okay, is this the year that to do it? Sorry, gotta get my dog out.
Yep. So that is a common thing that happens. Hopefully you either catch it before it's all done, or it doesn't cause a problem and you don't have a fire. That's hopefully what happens. Yeah, or it gives it a little bit of flavor. I'll explain this too, but I take the guts out and put it in around the turkey, around the outside of the turkey to give it some flavor and stuff, and it cooks those. I don't eat them, but I do have family members that will eat those parts of the turkey.
I've never heard of doing that, but that is, I guess, a good way to infuse those
and then,
flavors.
yes, and we use it in the giblet gravy too. We do that. And that's always an easy way to add a little flavor if your gravy is a little bit bland. All right, so all of those questions were related to tonight's lessons. So we'll go ahead and move on to the first lesson of the night, which is about cranberries.
All right, Jill, you're up.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to show everybody, and I'm hoping that my internet connection is okay tonight, but I'm going to show everybody.
So far, so good.
Yeah, how to make fresh cranberry sauce. I know that there were some folks who preferred canned over fresh, but this really does, everything fresh really has a unique taste to it. And I don't know what it is, but it just tastes so good. You can really decipher those flavors. I love canned cranberry sauce. However, it tastes like candy. So this way, I feel like I'm actually eating something healthy, getting those antioxidants and all that. So what I've done is I have poured rinsed cranberries, a whole bag of them, 12 ounces, which were not exactly easy to come by, were they, Murray?
I could not find any in Mariana at all.
Yeah.
So this is why Jill is doing this presentation tonight.
Yeah, exactly. So I said, I bet I can find some around me. It's still a little early. I had to make a couple stops at some stores to get these. But what I've done is I've poured my rinsed cranberries fresh into a pot here, a small like saucepan. I'm going to add some 2/3 cup of sugar to these. Okay. And also a cup of water. And all I'm going to do is put this on medium heat. I'm going to stir it regularly. Okay. And we're going to watch and see what happens. Now, one thing that I see a lot of people doing is putting this on like a high heat because they're trying to rush it. And what happens, Catherine, you're kind of giggling. What happens when we turn our heat way up high to start? Do you know? What happens?
I don't know about cranberries, but I'm the high heat girl. And so sometimes the flavors, it creates a bitter flavor, like with onions. If you're sauteing onions, you need to do it on a lower heat. Otherwise it'll turn bitter. I don't know about cranberry.
Exactly. Thanks, Catherine. And we know that we have sugar in here. Sugar doesn't take very long to burn on a high heat. So we've got the sugars in the cranberries, even though those taste tart, they still have sugar in them. And we've got that added sugar. So we don't want to burn it or scorch it. It just would make a big, huge mess. We also know that we can always add heat if we see that it's not getting hot enough. But can we take heat away as easily? No. Once it's hot, it's hot. So we want to start off low. If we need to add more heat, we can certainly do that. But we're going to start off low. And what I'm going to do is monitor this for about like 5 minutes on here. Okay. Any questions?
And when are you going to put your lemon zest in? I add lemon zest to mine. And I see you have a lemon.
I've got a lemon right here. And we're going to do that right towards the end of that.
Okay.
So, yep. Yeah, and so Catherine did say, this, if you start this on a boil, it can boil over real quickly. So you do have to pay attention to it. I've had that happen with jams that I've had folks making. And, all of a sudden they've got it turned up just a little bit too hot, and it'll boil over quicker than they can stir it down. So like I say, we're just going to go nice and slow here. And I know Thanksgiving, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to get everything done. Well, on our website, we've got a nice little plan on there, like an infographic that will show you some things that you can prep ahead of time. Now, Marie, you make this all the time. This is your favorite. Can you prep this ahead of time? Like, do you have to do this fresh, ready to serve?
No, you can prep it ahead of time and it'll store in the fridge very nicely for several days.
Yeah.
So
you can have this ready to go and, just pull it out. You can warm it either on the stove or on the microwave, however you like. And nobody will know the difference.
Hey, Jill.
Okay.
I usually make mine the day before and then out, and that way it gives it a little time for the flavors to kind of come together and congeal a little bit and then warm it up.
So Catherine asked about using pressure cooker to make this. And that's going to be a negative because those little berries pop. So think about what would happen inside that pressure cooker.
Yeah.
I want to see it. We're going to do it at Catherine's house. We'll do the experiment at her house.
I mean, I think it would probably only take like 1 minute in the pressure cooker, and then anything beyond that, it'd be like ruined. So.
But so no, it's usually not a problem because it reheats nicely. People don't generally, they want the full package. So no, I don't have a problem keeping the family out of that. It's the turkey.
Yeah. And you just need to, you just put it in something, label it liver or something like that. Nobody will touch it. I used to work at a farmer's market and I had a customer come by and say, I used to buy Girl Scout cookies and I'd always put them in the freezer and label them liver. And when my kids got older, she said they came back and said, why did we always have so much liver in the freezer? And I thought that's a great idea. They never touched it. And she had her, little snack that the kids didn't get into.
Oh, Catherine's going to use that trick for her Oreos. Okay.
I think so.
That's
so we're just going to be patient and watch this as it starts to cook down.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Well, while we let that go for a few minutes, Jill, I'm going to unspotlight you and I'm going to go find Melanie. Okay, Melanie disappeared on my list. Let's see.
Can you find us now?
Hang on.
Melanie and Paula.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
You hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to do our turkey talk. I'm going to talk about what to do with raw turkey. We're going to visit Marie in a little bit about what to do once it comes out of the oven. So here we are with my raw turkey. Now, first of all, for this would be great, but because we're weeks ahead of Thanksgiving and it's just my husband and I that live here, I tried to find a small turkey and they do not exist in the Panama City area. So this is a 17.8 pound turkey and that's the smallest in the bin. Okay. So how do you decide what size turkey you need for the group that you're hosting? Basically, you want to base it on about 2 pounds of meat per person if you want to keep leftovers. If you don't want leftovers, which who doesn't, okay? But if you don't, think about 1.5 pounds per person. You also think to yourself, do you have anybody that's a super heavy eater? You might want to add a little bit. And if you have a bunch of children that are not going to eat much, take that into consideration based on how much you want left over, okay? So there's that. The next question is, should you buy a fresh or frozen turkey? That is totally up to you. I have never bought a fresh turkey. I've bought fresh chickens. but I have not bought fresh turkey, just because I try to buy it ahead of time, so it has to be frozen. Typically, you want to take it out of the refrigerator. You want to, or excuse me, not in the refrigerator. You want to put it in the refrigerator from the freezer, 4 pounds per day. So it depends. Think about it. It needs thought about 4 pounds per day. So you may need to put it in there if you've got a big turkey 4 or 5 days out, but you want to put it in the refrigerator and let it thaw out there. You do not want to put it on the counter and let it sit out. Okay, that is just a way to harbor bacteria. The other way, if let's say you bought your frozen turkey and you forgot to thaw it out in the refrigerator and you start to panic, you can actually do a water bath, and you can put it in a large container. You could even put it in your roasting pan, you know, without a rack in there, and put cold water on it. You keep it in the package, okay, so it's not exposed like this. You put cold water on it, and then you change that water out every 30 minutes for every pound that you have. So it still takes time, but it's faster. It's not days long, and it's a little bit more labor intensive though. So you do have options if you realize you forgot to take it out on time. So cold water is what you want to use, but keep it in the fridge during those 30-minute thaws. Don't leave it on the counter. That's the number one thing we want to talk about with poultry. Let me see. You want to thaw it with the breast side up. Keep the wrapper on the turkey. It says allow at least 1 day of thawing for every 4 pounds of your turkey. So this one took quite a few days. I'm glad I didn't wait any longer to go buy it. Let's see. Use your turkey within 4 days after thawing it. So if you decide all of a sudden, let's say the pandemic happens and you've, this would be last year, not this year. You had it thawed out and then people cancel on you. If you don't want to eat it that day, put it in the fridge, but use it within 4 days. Okay. Let's see. I want to make sure I give you all my tips. The main thing is just making sure that you never leave your turkey out on the counter. Next question, should you wash your turkey? It used to be very common that when you took off the wrapper, the person doing this would go over to the sink and they would actually wash the turkey off thinking that they're getting off bacteria. But actually they've done research on this and they have found that that actually causes more of a problem because you contaminate your kitchen by all the water that splashes off of the turkey or whatever piece of meat it is that you're trying to wash. So actually it is not recommended anymore to wash your turkey or any other meat that you have. It is recommended to take it straight from the packaging. I've also read things recently, not even looking this up, I read it, that food factories are much cleaner than they used to be. And it is considered perfectly safe to open your meats and put them right into your pan or right into your, prepare it right there and then put it into your roasting pan. You do not need to wash it. Let's see. If you are one that just says you have to wash it, or if you know someone that will not listen and just says they have to wash it, they should completely sanitize their entire sink when they're done, and then anything else that the turkey touched. Okay. Next question is, should I stuff my turkey? I have never stuffed a turkey. It is not recommended by the USDA to stuff your turkey anymore because what happens sometimes is the stuffing in the center of the stuffing, it will not get hot enough. But if you still decide that you're going to stuff it, because that's what you've always done, and I do have my mother-in-law is that way, you have to make sure that you put your thermometer when you think it's done, put your thermometer into the middle of that stuffing. And then of course you also want to do other parts of the meat that we'll talk about, but you want to make sure that stuffing also gets to 165 because in the center of the turkey, in the center of that dressing, it can be hard to get that there. Any questions so far?
No, absolutely. That cold spot is
Right.
what it's in there, and it has to be that 165 for that stuffing if you do stuff it. I do
Correct.
not. I've never done it.
Me either. Now I have eaten them when I was younger because I didn't know any different. I mean, not that I wouldn't have eaten the food anyway, but you know, it is very highly recommended you not do that. Just make it in a separate casserole dish.
So Catherine asked a very good question, and I would wonder, does everybody have a meat thermometer at home?
Oh, very good question. I have had both. I've had this is my digital one, obviously. I have had the other type. It didn't last as long for some reason. It kind of went berserk on me.
I bought this, I'm not sure where I bought it, but somewhere a couple years ago. It's completely digital. You turn it on, it says it's 72 degrees in the house right now, but you're going to stick it into the thickest parts of your meat, into the breast, under your, into the thigh over here. Well, we're not going to do that now because mine is raw. Okay. Marie will go into more detail on that.
Okay.
Another thing before I start preparing the turkey is that if you don't like the feel of raw turkey or raw meat on your hands, and I do know people that feel this way, get some disposable gloves, and feel more comfortable if that makes you feel better about it. I understand it does feel weird, but I'll go straight to the sink when I'm done. The other thing is that I have washed my hands before I did this. It is thawed out, and so the very first thing you're going to do is you want to make sure that it's still going to be wet, could still be thawing out a little bit. You do want to pat it dry like this. You can see that some juices have flown out down there.
Come closer.
Okay, come a little closer. And the first thing I'm going to do is remove the guts from the inside that we talked about. They're usually in the neck, and this is the neck portion of the turkey. So I'm going to pull those out, and those are in this package. And if you want to use those to cook with, you can, or throw them in the trash, totally up to you. And then the other part is the neck, and it doesn't want to come out that side because it's super tight. And that's the neck right there. You can also cook that with the turkey if you want to use it, or you can just cook it on the stovetop to put in your gravy. You can do that with either of those. So once that's done, we're going to pat it dry some more. I'm also noticed that they leaked a little bit into the turkey, so I'm going to get that out a little bit. And it doesn't need to be dry, but I have a trash can right back here because I'm also a
Melanie, we know you threw that on the floor.
So you pat it dry. Think about patting under the wings a little bit. Also, this particular turkey, and I've never had this happen, but Paula has, it also came with this inside the turkey. And this was actually sticking out the most. And I'm like, what is that? It is actually a gravy that you can cook with. And so you put this onto your stovetop and warm it up, and then add whatever you like. If you want to add neck meat or any of the giblets to it, giblets, whatever. I wasn't even sure what it is because it tells you to cook it, but it doesn't tell you what it is.
Which is
Paula
funny.
knew what it was. So that's just an interesting thing. So I've been keeping that in the fridge because I wasn't sure what it was. Have the rest of you seen that before?
Not until I got this turkey, and we got Melanie and I both got the same brand.
Yeah, we got the same.
Put it all out and threw it away. I just assumed it was the giblets and stuff.
Right. So the next thing we're going to do is you want to make sure those juices are, dried off. When I lift this off of this cookie sheet that it's on, I'm also going to let it drain a little bit and pat it underneath because it has thawed out a little bit or dripped since it's been sitting here. This one is a little crooked at times. Not sure what happened to him, but he's a little wobbly. Right now, he looks better than he's looked standing up in a while. The next thing I want to talk about is you're going to use a roasting pan that's at least 2.5 inches deep. If by chance mine does come with a rack, if yours does not come with a rack, you're not going to want your turkey to sit flat on there because it could burn the bottom. You can use aluminum foil that you've kind of balled up and have it in the bottom, and then set your turkey on top of that so it's not touching the bottom of the pan. You can also use carrots, other vegetables to kind of use down there just for the turkey to sit on. So it's kind of your preference. But mine luckily did come with a roasting rack. Let's see. Oh, another thing, and this is different based on your recipe because my recipe says for me to do this near the end of the cooking, and Marie said to do it at the beginning. So you can take a aluminum foil, just a small piece like this, make a small tent with it when your recipe calls for it, and you'll put it over the back like that, and that will actually keep it from burning either near the end or at the very beginning in Marie's case with her recipe. So, and I've always done this, but I do it near the end. So,
Melanie, did you spray that with any kind of nonstick spray to keep it from sticking to the skin?
I don't, because I actually use oil on my turkey skin, and that will do that. So the one thing that you want to do is decide how you're going to season it, and there are plenty of recipes out there. If you're not comfortable just doing it on your own, The recipe I'm using is mainly from Butterball, but also a mixture of what my parents do and maybe a little mixture of what Paula does. Okay. So I don't want to touch everything, but I'll let you touch it. I use olive oil. And so I will actually take olive oil and rub it onto the skin. Okay. And thank you. I'll go ahead and do that. And I use, I don't load it up, but I use enough that it's going to get pretty oiled up on there and make it soft. And then I've got my poultry seasoning already out because I'm not going to use the shaker. And what you'll want to do is kind of find some spots where you can get underneath the skin. This is the hardest part for me. And of course, on camera, it's not going to go well.
I loosen the back end.
Yeah, she loosened the back for me. So I'm going to turn them around and kind of go up from this end with the poultry seasoning, kind of massage it into the meat. Where's that other side there? And I'm not going to make y'all sit and watch me do the whole thing. Just get it up under there. You want to get it on each side.
And you can take that tail off.
Yeah, you can take this off if you need to get up in there. Also, make sure you get the legs, you get the wings. I'm not going to finish the whole thing right now. Put some on the outside. And then I always put a little bit of salt and pepper, not as much as you see here. That is just for looks, so you can tell what it is. I always put a little salt and pepper on the top. And then this is where my recipe differs from Marie. And Paula does this too. We both use an oven bag to cook our turkey in, okay? So what we will actually do is do all of this prep work and then take an oven bag and pull it out and you'll put your turkey inside. Thank you. It does call for a little bit of flour. I think it's a tablespoon, but I have to double check. But that's all it calls for.
Directions on the back.
Yeah, it's got directions on the back. And it could vary based on the brand that you buy. I've got a little flour over here. You put the flour in, then you shake your bag before you put the turkey in it. And then you carefully, somebody holds it open for you and you put the turkey inside. And then it tells you how to roll it up at one end. And it even comes with the little zip tie at the end so that it will hold it tight. And that is why I don't have to baste my turkey, because that bag keeps the moisture in there. So that's kind of an interesting kind of way to do it. It also will speed up the cooking process a little bit, and it'll tell you on the bag like how much time you can cut off of your cooking process. But you still want to confirm that you've cooked it enough by actually using your thermometer. Don't just take a guess.
They're asking if the flour aids with the gravy, and it does, yes, but it also prevents the turkey from sticking
to the bag.
Bag.
But yeah, it does. And it will be a little bit thicker in there, especially because what I do, this is just from my growing up, and this is what I learned, is I actually put the giblets and the neck in the bag, and they're usually down at the bottom around it. And so they come out cooked too. So between the little bit of flour, the seasoning, the giblets, the neck, then you've got a little bit of a thicker sauce. And then I use that and I put those items into my gravy on the stovetop.
They're asking what brand of bag.
Yeah,
it
what's your
it doesn't matter.
It's just so it's a baking bag.
Yeah, just as long as you know it is for a baking bag for meat. It will say that on there. Actually, this one calls it an oven bag for. Okay. If you're cooking a chicken, you can get a smaller one. Sometimes you have the weight there that the bag is for, so you don't have something huge or you don't have something tiny for a big turkey like this. Would you mind turning my notes for me?
No, I would not.
Sorry. I just don't want to leave anything out. When you're ready to put it on the roasting pan and you move it over there, you do want to try and tuck your wings a little bit under the shoulder, and that'll kind of give it a nice formation. There was comments when I was looking at Butterball about tucking the wings, where you actually take string and tie them up. It said if you really want it to sit beautifully and have a really good turkey shape, you can. Otherwise, just tuck them underneath the turkey shoulders and try and keep them that way when you transfer it to the roasting pan. And, this one's a little wobbly, but a normal one should pretty much keep its shape. And then the bag that I use will also help it hold its shape. Let's see. I don't use vegetable oil or cooking oil. I only use olive oil, but you can use whatever kind of oil you prefer. The little bit of oil on top will also give it the little brown tint that you want without burning it. And like I said, at the very end, if you're not using a bag, putting that little tint of aluminum foil, and then we'll let Marie explain her recipe in just a minute. You are going to want to make sure whatever your directions for heating your stove beforehand, you want to be preheated. It's usually 325 or 350 degrees, depending on the recipe you're using. You're going to have figured out how long you need to cook it based on how big your turkey is. And like I said, at Butterball, you just put that right into their little calculator, figures it out for you. It says 3.5 hours. This one I did figure was about 3.5 hours. Okay.
How do you brown the skin if you use the bag?
It browns perfectly in the bag. That's all part of that process. The picture they have here is how mine generally comes looking. It's just like that. It's a little bit crispy, not burnt, but and it has that brown golden touch to it. So Paula, do yours turn out that way?
Mine do too.
Yeah. And the chickens do too.
Yeah.
If you use them for chickens. And like I said, you don't have to baste it if it's in a bag, but if you want to baste it, you would want to baste it throughout the process. If it's an open turkey, you know, you could baste it if you want to. But like I said, it's all based on the recipe you're using.
If you're using a brown sugar rub, though, it will tend to burn easily. So you've got to really watch with the brown sugar.
Yeah. And there are several burn easy too. And just, I used seasoning and salt and pepper. You can use whatever you like. I mean, there were Thai recipes for making it spicier with chili pepper. There were ones
paprika.
There were ones for a sweeter one with the brown sage one. I mean, it's all kinds of things on there for recipes. If you don't have your own, it's all based on what you like. Like I'm not a fan of rosemary, so I would never put rosemary on here, but I know plenty of people that love rosemary and would put it on here. It all depends on your taste. Are there any questions?
So I think that you said that about rosemary, and I understand because rosemary can be very overpowering.
Right.
But the majority of your poultry seasonings, the base of them are marjoram, thyme, sage, and rosemary.
Right.
And pepper.
It's kind of a mixture. The rosemary is not, but I went to invited to a friend giving or whatever you want to call it one year, and she decided to experiment with rosemary, and she seasoned it with rosemary, and then it has sprigs of rosemary. The house smelled like rosemary. Everything I tasted, in my opinion, tasted like rosemary. So it was very overwhelming to me. But that's all based on taste, because I know people that don't like sage. So it's just what you like, you know, and what you're used to historically in your family, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No. Jill, do we need to check in with you on your sauce, cranberry sauce?
Yes.
Okay, Jill, I'm not seeing anything but a blank screen.
I'm reconnecting. I had some internet stuff, but it's connecting now. So hopefully any minute. One thing, Melanie, I want to mention, when I first tried the oven bag, I really like using those, but I had mine way too close to the element. I didn't adjust my oven rack, and it can actually burn the bag. So you do have to be a little bit careful.
Never had that, but I will take that into consideration now.
Yeah, especially if you have like a tall or a larger bird, you know.
Right.
You know.
She
And
might
hopefully,
yes, I may have that problem, but I will actually check my oven rack now. Make sure.
So
Jill, we're not seeing you still.
Yeah.
But,
do you want to come back to me?
Yeah, I can come back to you.
Okay,
So Judy did mention this, and I'm gonna move the spotlight around here just a second. Oh, life's fun. I love technology. All right.
That's because I don't make it look. There you go.
Sure.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's trying to pick up on both, and I don't want it to, but Judy had put into the chat box that she wanted to make sure that we reiterated that it's 24 hours for every 4 to 5 pounds of turkey for thawing purposes. So yes, Melanie did allude to that, but you can never say it enough. So this is my large turkey, and I did several different things to it to try to demonstrate some of the different things that I saw while I was researching. But traditionally, my grandmother, who would always make all of our turkeys during the holidays, she always would put like a stick of butter inside the cavity with all of the other seasonings and stuff. And, you know, they talk about increase the fat content. So the other thing that my family has traditionally done is they have always put a lattice work of bacon across the top of the bird. And of course, that creates like a brine. So what a brine does is it really actually protects that lean cut of meat on the breast, and it keeps it juicier. So, and the bacon obviously tastes good. We put it into our gumbo because that's the whole reason that we eat turkey in my family, is so we can turn around and make gumbo. But one recipe that I tried a long time ago is I use oranges. So what I will do is I will take an orange, I will roll it to loosen the juices, I will slice it, I will squeeze it all over my turkey, and then I will take the slices and drop them into the cavity. And it just, you know, the acidity just kind of helps it to be a little bit more tender. The moistness just holds in there. And once we tried that recipe, we never turned back. So at my house, we will orange, we'll put some bacon on it, and the poultry seasoning obviously is a key part of it. And that's it. That's what we use. So everybody does things very differently. You know, the bacon really doesn't change the flavor, in my opinion. But again, it's what I'm used to. It doesn't make it over salty or anything like that. And you can use turkey bacon, you can use the low sodium bacon, and it all works out just fine. So,
Hey,
does the orange change the flavor, do you think?
No, I really don't, because it's only one orange, but the acidity helps to keep it really moist, and also it just keeps it tender. So
okay, so if you didn't have an orange, could you use something else? What about
satsumas?
Satsumas, yeah. Hey,
I have not ever used anything other than an orange or a satsuma.
Okay,
but you can try.
Maybe a lemon. I don't know.
If you like lemon chicken, yeah, lemons.
Okay.
Okay. So obviously I have already roasted my turkey. I did one side without the bacon, just so you can see the crisping of the skin and how nice and pretty and brown it gets. They were talking about checking the temperature. So if you were going to check your temperature, you want to make sure that you are going into the thigh, that you don't want to hit the bone. And obviously mine has cooled. So I would just go in to the side here. And then I would do the same with the breast. I would just go into the side here. If I actually did have dressing, then obviously I would be checking the temperature internally to check that stuffing. So I'm like Melanie, I have an instant read digital thermometer. It's great. I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. And if you invest in one, I mean, you've got a really good one. And this is the Thermopop brand. And I don't know where I came across it or how I discovered it, but I've been really happy with it. I have had some other ones. My son has a really expensive one, and I told him I wasn't going to buy one like that. I don't think you should pay more than, $10, $15. So I have several different knives here. You can use any of these knives to slice your turkey. It's just whatever your personal preference is. And I tend to put on gloves because I just do. You know, this is something everybody else is going to be eating. So I just feel like that's the right thing to do. So this has been cooling for quite a while. That will help it to retain its moisture. So here we go. I have never in my life carved a turkey. So this is from me watching a video from the Culinary Art Institute. So we don't know if this is going to work out well or not. But,
woo, you got this, Marie. You can do it.
sure.
Woo, everybody cheer. If you believe in Marie, clap your hands. Woo.
The first thing they instruct you to do is to start with the legs. And they say that you can just kind of pull the leg out and you can go along the side of the breast and you can feel the joint. So as you feel it and you pull it out, you're supposed to just cut along there. And as you do that, it's supposed to just pop, and it did. It did exactly what they said. It popped right out. Although it's not quite letting me pull it all the way.
You gotta give a little muscle in that, that joint
just
there.
a little muscle. Okay, we have the leg.
Just rip that right off. That looks great. You made that look so easy, didn't she? Oh my gosh.
Well, we will see. Maybe it won't go flying off the table and onto the floor.
Marie, I'm coming to your house, this week.
Okay.
You all think I'm kidding, but it's true. I'll bring the cranberry sauce.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta have the cranberry sauce. That's what it is. We gotta make our meal. So
Hey, Marie.
here we go on the other side.
Marie, we hope you put your dog up.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Okay, and it popped. Now that piece of skin did just fall off onto the floor, but these are literally just coming right off.
Now that's enough for your husband.
Okay. So I'm going to pull this back for just a minute and show you guys what they were talking about on this video. So they said if you wanted to separate the thigh from the leg, you could very easily, and it's almost like somebody drew a line right there for you. And you can just go along, and it seems to be, and I love the way they do their videos, and they just make it look so easy.
And this video is on lesson 4 of our website. Yes. So it's there for you to view and watch.
So,
and Marie, you might have to use your other.
Once you expose the joint, it's supposed to pop. And you should be able to put your knife right through. Okay, that worked.
Woo!
So there you have your leg. And
Marie's earning gold medals.
I know. So this turkey, you guys, is so absolutely tender. It's just falling apart in my hands. Which I guess is a good problem to have, right, people? So this bone is literally about to fall out. So this is all your dark meat for your thigh. So I could literally just take this and just slice it and put it over on the platter. And it seems to be slicing pretty well. I am going a little bit against the grain, but I'm going to just place that thigh right over there. Now, they claim leaving these wings on really makes the stability better. I have my keel bone here a little bit covered, but literally I can see it. This is just so tender. They want you to cut along the whole of the keel bone to remove the breast. But I'm just telling you guys, it's literally falling apart. Let's see if I can go this direction. And you know, you have your wishbone and everything else sitting there, but I just hate to say this. This is the most tender turkey is just literally gonna fall apart in my hand, no matter what I do. So I wonder what they do to cook it differently where it's not so tender. How many of you cut your own turkey up? I just gotta know while I'm over here hacking at this one. How's everybody else do this? Do they delegate this?
Catherine raised her hand.
Catherine, you do your own? How do you do it?
Just
How do
like
you make it?
just like what you're doing right now. Except it seems like I always am too anxious with the breast. And so I always have to remember to cut against the grain so it looks so nice. And I know. But how are you managing to get the breast off so that it doesn't just fall apart in your hand?
Judy says she uses an electric knife. Judy, I can never hold those correctly. I always end up like, I don't know what it is. They just don't work for me.
You have to get the right grip.
Yeah, for sure.
Get the right grip. Okay. Well, I am not being very successful at this breast. So I'm going to move over here to this wing for just a minute, just to see what I can do.
Marie, you and I were talking about this earlier. Sometimes you're not going to get the most perfect cut. This is just, Marie, you're doing an awesome job. Melody did a fantastic job, but we're not perfect.
No.
So it just goes to show, it's more about, you got to remember when you're doing this, it's more about that family time, and don't stress too much. And I'm sure Nellie's going to talk about this later, but don't stress too much if it doesn't come out exactly perfect. It's still going to taste amazing. You're still going to have a great dinner with friends or family. And it's really about embracing the experience, right? Rather than,
I'm going to go with that, embrace the experience.
Yes, embrace the experience rather than, getting that photo for
yes.
Instagram.
Jill wanted a photo off out of this. So
I do. Yeah, Judy, you're right. It doesn't have to be a Hallmark turkey. You're right.
Okay.
So
it does not. But I will tell you that this breast meat looks fabulous. It just is not coming off in one piece as it does on the video. So this is everyone's assignment until next year, is to go watch the video, make your turkey, and then email us and let us know how it goes when you guys carve it at home.
Yeah. They can email us, or they can put it right up on our Facebook.
Oh yeah, that's
group.
true too. So there we go. I'm gonna try that.
So this is funny, but a couple of years ago, I went to a friend's house and they had a small, I would call it a small bird, but it was a small gathering. And my friend's family was trying to cut into the bird. They couldn't do it. Well, they called me over and said, take a look at this. And my friend came over too, and we both looked at each other and looked at that bird, and we at the same time had that aha moment, and we flipped it right side up and had a lot easier time cutting through it.
Yeah.
But they had it upside down.
Well, this one evidently looks like it might have been a little bit of that too. But
yeah,
the Melanie and I were laughing because she opened her bird up, and her bird, the pop-up thing was already over on the it was provided in it. So anyway.
Yeah, Marie, that's one thing I was talking about with a client today. We said, do those still come with the birds? And we say, yes, but you still really want to check that with a good thermometer. That's a great indicator.
Absolutely.
It's a great indicator to say it might be time to check.
Yeah.
And then Melanie, I have a question for you, since you pulled out those bags of goodies from your bird. What happens if you forget to do that and you leave those inside?
Yeah.
Well, you could have a fire, like some of the other people in there said. They could give it some taste. The problem would be if you had that plastic bag in there with the gravy.
Is it plastic?
That was a real problem. I wouldn't want to eat it. I would be very upset if that were in there.
Yeah.
And the liver would flavor.
Yeah,
your
the liver
breast
would give
meat.
flavor and the neck. But I did want to say that when I pulled out the guts today, the little pop-up thing popped out right with it. So they're not 100% trustworthy. Even there goes hers just popped out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that brand just doesn't put them in very tightly. I don't know, but I've never had that happen before. But so you would definitely have to have a thermometer because it popped out and there's no reason to put it back in. It's probably not going to work.
Yeah, no, not at all. And there are lots of pieces like this fat. They would, on that video, they talked about all the different things you could do with the carcass, render your own broth. You can make your own bone broth. And so, he was trying not to waste any of it. He was really adamant, don't waste your butter, do this and do that. So, it's really good learning experience to try to do these things and just look at it and see how well you fare. I did not fare very well, but that's okay. It was my first time. I usually just hand it over to my husband and he breaks it all down. We have our platter for what we're going to have. And then, of course, he'll break down the rest of it because, the most important thing is our gumbo.
Hey, Marie, is he nearby waiting for a bite?
He is on a FaceTime with grandkids.
Oh, I figured he was standing there to the side waiting.
No, he is on FaceTime. He is behaving tonight. So anyway, Jill, are you ready for us to head back to you to some cranberry sauce?
Well, I thought so, but now it says it's connecting again. I'm just having all kinds of problems. But you know what I might do is we're just going to make this work.
Okay, let's make it work.
We're just going to make this work or try anyway. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Okay.
If all else fails, Jill, just describe it to us and, tell us how it's doing.
So here's the real background. Okay. And here we have my upside down, surprise upside down cranberry sauce. And if you can see, this has really cooked down quite a bit. And I've removed the heat. So I have, let's see if I can angle this right. I've turned off the heat and you can see this has started to get a lot thicker and it will thicken over time. So I just want to show you right here, this is what started to happen. And actually these, as I was heating the cranberries, they started to pop. It was kind of like popcorn. It was kind of fun to watch, but they started to pop and burst open. And that's because all the liquid and juices inside were starting to boil. And so this cooked down, it's going to thicken over time. And as
we can't see.
I know, I'm sorry.
Oh, there we go.
Now I can't see.
A little bit.
So it's going to thicken over time. Yes. And I'm going to add some lemon zest. I can use like a plain grater like this. Okay, if you don't have one of these, you can use a regular grater and you just want to use one of the fine sides or a zester like this. And I'm going to add some lemon zest to taste. You can cook it after you do that for about 1 to 2 more minutes.
Yep. Awesome. Yes. I love the real cranberry sauce. I really do. So
I've
Lori,
got some
are you
plans for this? I've got some sandwiches for it and all kinds of stuff.
So I just need to know, Lori Miller, are you going to try to make a turkey this year?
I might.
Yes, that's what we want to hear. Definitely. Thank you, Nellie. It is a meaningful eating it. And the experience of tasting the flavors is really what we're looking for. My family doesn't get upset if the food's not pretty. But anyways, all right. So Miss Nellie, we are heading over to you.
Okay, good evening. Yes, as I just posted, is the flavor and enjoying the food in a meaningful way is the value of what we are doing it. And we are going to be talking about that today. We are going to do a recap over all the 3 lessons that we have, and we are going to do a little exercise. We are going to target today mindfulness, meditation, and stress. So let's remember that the stress is anything that physical, mental, or emotional factor that causes our bodily and mental tension. We can see neck, shoulders, back, when we start to see the tension. And let's remember that the stressors can be anything external or internal, and we cannot control those. Stress raises our levels of anxiety. So that's something that we need to start to check because it's not helpful for us. And the physical impact of the stress is when we're going to see chronic stress and pain. They're going to be over time. Is when we are going to go visit the doctor. We are not going to risk that area. So please start to control that. And as a human beings, the endorphins that are released in our brain may us the fight or flight response. Years ago, many centuries ago, that was the easy response. And that response changed in less than 5-10 minutes. When the dinosaur was living, the person came and continues living. Now, due to the quick living and easy response that we are living every day, we are in fight and flight response 24/7. So that's the reason that we need to start to find moments during the day to de-stress, find ways that we can help with that. We checked and we did an exercise, the first class, about respiratory and shortness of breath and rapid breathing. Please try to remember that. That is a tip, a technique that's going to help you to modify your pulse rating and the endorphins release in your brain. Trying to make that during the day. We are going to try to stop the contractions of the heart muscle and make those stronger and not weak to avoid strokes, heart attacks, and stress and anxiety. High levels of stress and anxiety can increase the risk for a stroke and heart disease. That's the reason that we need to start to relax and control our levels of stress and anxiety. What are some strategies that we can do? Get active. I don't want to tell you, let's start to run a marathon in 1 month, 3 months. No, start to moving. When you finish eating with your family, trying to find that time after dinner to go to walk for 15-20 minutes. And it's when you enjoy the time with your family and speak, how is their day? How is everything doing? You can update with your children, or you can even, like Mary was mentioned, talking to your grandkids, how they are doing things like this, have that connection, that intimacy that you need with your partner and with your kids. Start to make plans, start to do a plan, start to write everything that you do is financial. What do you need to do that you don't get to the store, to the place that you go and you go forget something. Try to write everything. Connect with friends. The pandemic and everything has isolated us so much that this is the main stress for a lot of children and sometimes for elderly members of the family. Connect with friends through FaceTime, calls, trying to have that connection even when you are not face-to-face. And when you have times like this today, the holiday, the cooking with the Thanksgiving, give thanks for that, do that. Let's try to increase our hours of sleep. Yes, ladies, we need 8 hours of sleep. So even that we are aging doesn't happen, helps us with our days, and we are not going to be grumpy and cranky the following day. Let's try to do that and unplug. I have a 15-year-old teenager. He carried a cell phone sometimes even to the table. And you see his friends and everybody's like this with the neck down. Don't allow electronics in the table. Everybody's talking and eating and enjoying the flavor and taste of the food. You are doing something that is mindfulness. What kind of practices you can do? Mindful walking, enjoy, stop to smell the flowers, practice yoga, Tai Chi is very good for relaxation, breathing, and even to that you don't do heavy exercise. And yes, the ones that we are working in front of the computer like us, we need to do this exercise. YouTube has a variety of this that can help us with relaxation, mindfulness practice as well, and concentration. The benefits of meditation. We are going to reduce our stress. We are going to boost our memory. Remember that we are forgetting stuff. Sometimes we don't remember where are the keys, where I have with the glasses, and the glasses are in the head. So let's try to do that boosted memory, increase the focus when we are working, decrease emotional reactivity, and increase relationship satisfaction. That is with your partner and with your children as well. And sometimes with co-workers when we are in our workplace. So reminder, trying to incorporate one or more of mindfulness practices during this time that we are closing to Thanksgiving. Let's try to do that. There are different apps that you can use and download free in your phone. I suggest that you do that you can to remember during the day when you need to relax. And I encourage you to write and keep a gratitude journal. We are close to Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is not the only day that we can give thanks for something. Every day, like the last class that we were mentioned last week, trying to give thanks for the things that we have, the food that we are eating, the family that we're enjoying, the life that we are living. Okay? Because we have a work, everything is a gratitude experience for us. Somebody has questions?
No, I am not seeing anything in there, but you're absolutely right. We should be also thankful for what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Marie.
Yes.
I did want to tell you that while we were listening to Nellie, we bagged up the turkey just so people can see what it looks like. And it looks like this.
Looks good.
And the giblets are in the bottom here, back here with the legs. And we did put the flour in. And then before I put it in the oven, I will take a knife and stab a couple little holes along the top of the bag to let the steam escape. And then it'll be good to go. And you can see it's sealed up here, right there. All right. So there you go. That's what that looks like.
All right. Tomorrow's lunch is on Marie and Melanie.
That way.
Sure, why not? I know journaling really does help. I agree, Catherine. Sometimes just writing it down makes all the difference in the world. And, we all make all of these different dishes and we all get in a hurry. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at my turkey. And I promise y'all, I might have really absolutely cooked that sucker upside down. I kid you not. It has been that kind of a week, but that's okay. It's going to taste really good. And because it was cooked upside down, I know that breast, if it was cooked upside down, will be absolutely so tender. So, any burning questions, anything that anybody would love to share? Jill has dropped into the chat. We do have an evaluation. We like to do that. We want to know what's going on. So please do fill that out. If you have something you guys would love to learn about, something different, we would.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to decide if we want to do another session of these. So if that type of feedback, if you think that you would enjoy another session, maybe on a different topic, that type of feedback is really helpful to us.
I'd just like to go back and say that, along with what Nellie was saying, and with Marie's turkey, we are, most of us, not going to be putting our turkey, our meal into a magazine. It is not Pinterest. It is not, Martha Stewart. And by golly, if we just are okay with that and know it's going to be good, even if there's a couple catastrophes, if we've got friends and family to share it with, that's what's important. We're sharing this time together, and hopefully that will help us to de-stress, and we still get something really, really good to eat. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And my family, they don't care what it looks like as long as it has a good taste to it. They could care less. I know my grandmother was that person that everything had to not just be plated, but it had to be plated perfectly. And, she would take the cloth napkin and wipe the rim of the plate, to make sure that it all went to the table and looked just so beautiful. And it was the china and the silver and the crystal out. And, so we are very informal, evidently. And we're okay with that.
There's something to be said about that. That's an experience itself. But if you got to look at what your priorities are and how you're spending your time and make that decision for yourself. Maybe we just do that next year.
To me, it's about definitely having that family meal, but it doesn't have to be just the meal. I want to have the experience and the time with the kids to play and do the other things. Yeah, Catherine's right. Use the pretty dishes for dessert. Everything else, let it go. It's fun to be around family and get to spend that time because we don't see each other often. So anyway, well, we definitely thank you all for joining us. We'll hang out here for a few questions. If anybody has something burning that I want to share with the class, that's okay too. Please do click on that evaluation, and we want to know what else. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording